Aditya, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. A federal appeals court in the United States ruled that United States President Donald Trump's tariffs on almost every country on earth have no legal basis. The court has given the administration time to appeal to Supreme Court and did not immediately rescind to tariffs. According to the ruling of the US Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, Trump overstepped his authority in using the 1977 International Emergency Economics Power Act. The judges, in a 7-4 ruling, stated that it seems unlikely that Congress intended to grant the president unlimited authority to impose tariffs. All right, joining me on the telecast is Shruti Das Gupta, foreign affairs expert. Shruti, thank you so much for joining us on the telecast. Obviously, you have heard this story. This is something that has been going on for quite some time. The Trump tariff war that we have seen, his tantrums around tariffs that we have seen for quite some time. What exactly do you make of this when we see that now the federal court in the United States ruled that Trump's tariff, it's not really legal, it doesn't have a legal standing. What next for Trump's tariff now?
Let's roll back a little. This was the appeal filed for the May judgment that had happened in the US International Court of Trade. And there again, the judgment was against the Trump government and their tariff regime. And they had said that it was not legally, it doesn't stand on legal feet, and it is not a good move for the US economy. So then this particular case went into the appeals court, of which judgment which has now come out yesterday. And now we are saying, they are saying that you need to rethink how you go through this. But we have to understand that they say that the Congress does not allow such kind of unextended power release by the Trump regime in terms of tariff tantrums. And every nation, including, by the way, which the rest of the world laughed at, there was a set of islands which was only inhabited by penguins, which was filed a 10% blanket tariff by the Trump regime itself. So every nation in the world is facing Trump and his tariff tantrums, and he's using and weaponizing these tariffs to make a case where that US is suffering economically because other nations are exploiting the trade laws or trade imbalances. But now they have given them time to either file an appeal in the Supreme Court or go through these tariffs via the Congress. But the Trump regime has majority in both the houses. So what we might see is either of the two. They might go to the Supreme Court, but where again, if they say something which is against the Trump regime, the Trump regime can again then go to Congress. So basically both the paths go to Congress, where they will put tariffs forth to the members of both houses. And like we saw with the big beautiful bill, there might be some resistance, but there'll be people breathing down any Republican that does not stand with Trump on his tariffs. And these laws may be modified. A new tariff clause can be input into the US regime. So this is something that is that at least until 2026, till the Senate again goes into poll mode, where the new senators and the House of Senate gets reassembled in 2026, Trump has control of any policy. Whether he does it via an executive order or whether he has to take the longer Congress route, he does have that. So if they do not choose either of these, they want to go back to the Trade Act of 1974, but that has limitations of only 15% tariffs, which can only be extended till about 150 days at most. So there are other routes of going through this, but basically it is showing to the world that most of US does not completely agree with what Trump is trying to do by weaponizing economic policies and using tariff as a way of gaining money. In case they are unable to pass those bills and are unable to win in any court of law, then they will have to return. People will start filing the amount of revenue that they have made, which is I think about 159 billion as far as July is concerned in terms of tariffs that they have collected. People will file for returns of that, and that will lead to a complete ruin of the US economy.
All right, Shruti Das Gupta, thank you so much for your insights on that story.